Good morning and welcome to Carnation Crafts. We are live in the Carnation Crafts studio. It is wonderful to have your company. I'm just trying to find you on Facebook, so just bear with me and let me make sure that's muted. And here we go. We are here to launch the digital market for Carnation Crafts, which is incredibly exciting, both for us as a team and also for you guys at home, because you're about to get a ton of resources at massively reduced prices, which is excellent all round. So digital marketplace is, or digital market should I say, is something that kind of Mark and Nick wanted to share. So basically what they have done is bought the license for certain products, and then they are sharing that with you, disseminating those things with you at a much reduced price. Now, if any of you have ever tried to get hold of resources from those kind of sites, you know that they are very expensive, and Mark and Nick wanted to take that away, but they also wanted to find the things that would work best with the stuff that they provide for you as well. So they've done all the hard work for us. Thank you very much, guys. It makes it so much easier. So when you go onto the Carnation Crafts website, which you can see in front of you here, there is a section that is called Digital Market. When you go into that, there are two options. There is both commercial artwork and Carnation Originals. Now today, on the whole, we're going to be focusing on the Carnation Originals, but I do want to talk you through the commercial artwork side of things as well, just so you all know where we are. Before we get to that, I will say, because we're doing this launch today, there is an offer on the deal of the day, and that is that you can get 3 for 2 today on the digital marketplace, which is excellent. So whatever you purchase from the digital market, you will get 3 for 2. Thank you very much. You can see there is 12 hours and 56 minutes left to go on that offer, after which it will return to normal. So what is digital market and how does it work? When you go onto the digital market section of the website, like I say, there are two options for you there. There is both your commercial artwork and your Carnation Originals. Let's start with the commercial artwork. So to be very clear, the commercial artwork is not hand-drawn by the Carnation team. This is outsourced work as such that is delivered to you. Carnation did not draw it. Carnation, have no credit to them for it. They have gone looking for artwork that will help you build your crafting journey and artwork that does complement Carnation Crafts. What they've done is paid a massive license, and then they are breaking it down and offering it to you at a hugely reduced price. And also they're making it kind of a better deal for you, because instead of just giving you, say, one sheet that might be $3.99 on a normal website, they're giving you several sheets. So you're getting this huge deal. It's a brilliant thing that they've done. I think it's incredibly generous. It's not something they had to do, and I absolutely love it, because suddenly we have got so many more things that we can pick and choose from. So massive shout out to Carnation for doing that. The Carnation Originals, this is where the excitement really comes in. Carnation have broken down some of their USBs, and they will continue forward to do that as well. You can now buy the USBs digitally instead of actually buying the USB itself, so you can get them directly from here. Now at the moment you have got Carnation Blooms and you've got Carnation Christmas on there. Both of those are early release USBs, so some of you may already have them, some of you may have already seen them. What they've then done, which I think is brilliant, is broken it down into your vignettes, if you like, your SVGs and your cutting files. And they've done that so that you can pick and choose. So if you don't want everything that's on a USB, you can pick and choose some elements to use in your electronic cutting machines, your ECM files. So as you can see here, you've got elements that go through Carnation Blooms, such as the shoes and the handbags and the Christmas stuff.
Look at the dog!
Miss Tiz Taz is getting very excited about the Cozy Christmas dog, which is incredibly cute, I have to say. So this is such a powerful thing for us as crafters, right? Because suddenly we've got loads of options. What I want to do is help you work out how to get that from your computer and to get it to your machine, because obviously you don't have the dongle. Now you can put them on a dongle obviously, but there are other ways of doing it. Lorraine says, will all the SVGs be from USBs? Well, at the moment they are, Lorraine. Whether Carnation choose to do extra things in the future that will just be available on there or not, I don't know. I don't want to speak out of turn, and I'll only ever tell you the information that I have. At the moment, as it stands, they're from USBs. Will that go forward? I don't know. So, but the point is, for those of you who only want a few of the files, you now have access to them at, you know, a reduced price, and you don't have to buy the full USB unless that's something you want to do, but you can also buy that direct. So I want to talk to you about how to get that from the digital marketplace. So we're going to look at that as in how to add it to your basket, and then once we've gone from there, I'm going to show you on the overhead on my laptop how I then get that over to my Brother Scan and Cut, and we'll work those things out and talk through that. And then we're going to have a look at some of the files that we've got from that Christmas section, or the Christmas USB, and we might get a demo in if we can get the time for that. We will also recap all of this in a later show today at 3 p.m. So Miss Tiz Taz, can we go to the website and just have a look at the digital marketplace and have a look at where we're going? So we're on these original artwork here, the Carnation Originals, and we might want to add, for instance, the Carnation Christmas USB into our basket. So all we're going to do is click on that, and we're going to add to basket, and that's as far as Miss Taz can take you on the screen. But you know the gist from then on. If ever you've bought from Carnation, you're literally just going to proceed through the checkout process, and the same with your vignettes. They will download straight to your computer. So then I'm going to take you over to my computer, and I've currently got you sort of sitting here, but so I can't see your comments for a minute because I'm going to go and work on the computer with you. So I'm just going to pull this down and pull this forward so you can see what I've got on my screen. So apologise if you can see me, it's sort of somehow lit up in there. I'm trying to sit back. But as you can see, I've downloaded my files, and here it is on the screen. So I'm just going to double click that, and when I open it, I have got 3 folders. One is my Carnation Christmas content, and that is a PDF document which shows you a little thumbnail of everything that you've just purchased. Next to that, it says ECM file. That means electronic cutting machine files. So they are your SVGs, and also your DFX, which is for the silhouette. Is that right? Silhouette, yeah. And then you've got your papers, which are all your backing papers. So how do we transfer this to your Scan and Cut? Now, I don't know about the other cutting machines. What I will say is, probably the easiest way of doing this is to select one and press Control A or Command A, and it will select all of them. And if you have got a dongle in your computer, you can just drag those onto the dongle and it will save them onto it. You can then put that into your electronic cutting machine. However, what if you don't have a dongle? Then what? Then what do we do? Well, it's super, super simple. What I'm going to do is go over to my Tinterweb, and you'll see my Facebook there. I'm going to go into Canvas Workspace. Now, this is for Brother. You will hopefully know the differences for Silhouette. I am still in the learning process with Silhouette and with Cricut, and we will do these again for you once we've got those worked out. But at the moment, we're going to focus on Brother. So I'm in the Brother Canvas Workshop, okay? Or Workspace, should I say. So how do I get stuff from here onto my machine without plugging anything in? And I've got nothing plugged into my Scan and Cut. All I do is go to SVG, and it'll say which one do I want to choose, which file do I want to choose. And I select. So if I go back to the original, there we go, to the original Christmas selection here, I'm going to have to choose ECM files, and they're all here. All I'm going to do is expand that option, and I will go to, let's go to Christmas Mouse. And I'm going to go to SVG because DFX is for my Silhouette. So I'm going for SVG because it's Brother. And I will go, we'll say Detail Mouse SVG. There it is. You can just see a little clip of that. And then all I'm going to do is press Upload. And then press OK. And that's going to appear on my workspace, which is wonderful. Thank you very much. However, from that process, how do I get that to my machine. And this is something that, you know, has been discussed a lot with people where they don't know how to get it from one place to the other. Understandably, it can be very confusing. Now, your Scan and Cut is wireless, which means it is connected to the internet. And you do need to have it connected to the internet to make this happen, but it's super simple when it does. So once you've got it connected, and all you need to do on your Scan and Cut is go into settings and just put in your Wi-Fi password and it will connect. Then we go to download. Can I just say a massive happy birthday to June, because she's 75 today. Massive happy birthday. If you're at home, if you'd like to wish her a happy birthday as well, I'm sure she'll be thrilled. Massive happy birthday, June. So what I'm doing here is going to download and press OK. And I'm going to do a Scan and Cut transfer. So we're going to ignore download to PC. It's already on my PC. I'm going to do a Scan and Cut transfer. So I click on there and it's thinking about it. You watch my technology. You watch my technology not work, Miss Tiz Taz. We've had a bit of a morning this morning.
It worked earlier.
It did. It's all to do with connections. Let me just try a different one if this one is going to have a hissy fit. Let's have a look. I love technology. It's the best thing ever. Here it goes. While we're doing that, I'm just going to show you the Carnation, the little download that you get, because it's important that you print this out. So when you get your files and you go into your original files, one of the options you've got is this. And it's easiest for you if you print it out and just make a folder of these, and for each USB you get this and it's got the thumbnails. So please make sure you get the thumbnails on there. My internet is dying, Miss Taz, which we love. Let's have a look. Let me think about it. Let's just try this again. It's always when you're on the live telly box. We did this 3 times before the show and it worked absolutely perfectly, and it's always guaranteed when you are live that it does not like it. Let's have a look. We'll go for the gilded frame because I know that one worked earlier. There we go. Upload that. So this morning, and some of you at home will know this too, Brother have done an update, which is, you know, often causing some problems. So we're just going to Scan and Cut. It's the Scan and Cut transfer. You have to do that one. So click it. There you go. That was easier. The Scan and Cut transfer is ready. So now where do we go from there? That's fine, but my Scan and Cut screen, if you can look at this over here on this Scan and Cut, is still saying that it is transferring. So we just go and have a look at the Scan and Cut, Miss Taz. And you can see my screen here, nothing's appeared. Absolutely nothing has appeared on here, and that's obviously not helpful. What we're going to do is go to retrieve data. Where we would normally go to USB to retrieve that data, instead we're going to our laptop screen with the Wi-Fi, and the gilded frame will appear. It's just accepting that information, so it retrieves it from my computer because it's attached to Wi-Fi, and there it appears. My frame is there. That's all you got to do. Now obviously my Wi-Fi is having a little bit of a moment this morning, nothing surprising there, but this is what we mean about it being simple. Generally speaking, if your Wi-Fi is working, it comes straight up and you can work very quickly. My advice to anyone at home is to use the dongle method, because once it's on there you get to use it, and you use it again and again and again. Depending on how big your dongle is, you can fit several USBs on there. So if you're continuing to buy from the digital marketplace, it means you could get several USBs all at once seated on that one dongle. So that is a case of pressing Control A or Command A if you're on a Mac, and that will sort of select everything and just drag it over to your file with that dongle on, and it will all save and you can use it again and again. So once we've got it over there, it's going to cut as normal. I will show you the cutting process, but just to reiterate, you've got to go to SVG. When you go to SVG, you are selecting a file, and we are going, let's select a different one. See if I can work this time, Miss Taz. Or let's see if my computer dies. Miss Taz has got her fingers crossed. Let's do Christmas Eve. You get loads on this USB detail cut Christmas Eve. Let's go for that one, see if this one works. It's imported my frame as well. Let's just move that across. Oh, it's fun today, Miss Taz. I'm having all of the fun today. There we go. There we go. So we've got that there, and we're just pressing download. It's this big download button. So the two buttons you've got to remember are SVG, that's to retrieve your file, download, and scan and cut transfer. And then if I go to my scan and cut, can we have a look at my scan and cut, Miss Taz, just to make sure this is working? Retrieve data, computer. It thinks about it. It's got to pick up from the Wi-Fi signal from your computer to your scan and cut. So it does think about it for a second. Once it's got it in place, there you go. That information is immediately yielded over to your scan and cut, and you are ready to cut. And then we go through the process as we normally would to get everything in motion.
Do you know why that worked this time?
Because you had your fingers crossed. Just to let you know, Miss Taz, while we're sitting here professionally chit-chatting, my monitor's not on. She loves it when I tell her the things. Thank you, Miss Taz. It was on earlier. I think there's been some, I think when we went downstairs to get a coffee, I think that the little beasties came in and did the things. So I'm just going to find my Facebook here and just see what everyone's saying. Everyone's saying happy birthday. Hello, Mr. Mark. Are you okay? Let me find out where we were. Hey, Trace. Hey, Patrice. Hey, Angela. This is what I'm going to need to know. Yeah. Good morning, Pauline. So, not late at all, Annette. What is a dongle? There's a good question. I will go through that with you as well. Hello, Miss Carla. It's a USB. Will these work on the Cricut? As far as I know, yes, they do. But I'm not going to tell you absolutely 100% until I know definitely. But yes, I think Cricuts use SVGs. I love that you're all saying happy birthday to June. So a dongle is, I've got one here because I've just seen it. A dongle is this. That's a dongle. So if I turn that around, you can see that it's the beautiful calm. So it's a USB, and they call them dongles because usually a USB is something that's already got information on it. That's how the terminology kind of works. It's not necessarily that it's got something on it, but that's kind of the terminology these days. A dongle is kind of one that you buy yourself and import your own files onto, and so we're just dragging it. So you would plug that into your computer, and you would it'll come up on your, it'll be different on a Mac to a normal thing, but basically you import it. So if I go to Finder on a Mac, I have a list of what's there. One of the options would be named as my dongle, and I just drag the information to that file. It saves onto the actual physical dongle, the USB, and then I can plug that into here. That's the easiest way of doing it. However, for those of us who don't have those dongles, and I don't have one here, so I don't need them because I use it straight from the scan and cut into here just for the files that I'm using. So I am more than happy. Are the digital downloads what we already have on USB? Depending on which USBs you own. So the two USBs that are currently on the digital market are the Carnation Blooms and Carnation Christmas. So they are both available to you now. I have a very strong feeling that Carnation will start to put more and more of those USBs on there. So you will be able to add to it. Fiona says, hi Carla, long time no see. Glad to be back. Absolutely glad to have you as well. June has ordered papers and SVGs. Well done, June. And that's because it's your birthday and you deserve them. Isn't it nice to have a place where we get extra SVGs, and especially if you want to just pick and choose, and where we get extra papers, which we may not normally see. Fiona says, happy birthday, June. Hope you have a great day. Lots of people on Facebook here, June. I think June might be on YouTube, but lots of people over here on Facebook, June, wishing you all of the best for today, and we hope it is a wonderful day for you. So the digital marketplace, like I say, I'm just going to ask Taz to go back to the website if you possibly can, so we can have a look at it. Just to reiterate that your deal of the day today is 342. This is only available today, and so if you were to go, for instance, go into the Carnation Originals and purchase, you know, 2 or 3 of those files, or you were to purchase a couple from the commercial and get the USB, then it is, one of them's going to be for free. It's a 3 for 2. I imagine the cheapest will be the free item. That's how it normally works. So today is the day to do that. But the commercial artwork, just to give this another heads up while we were here, the commercial artwork, you're not going to be able to open those, are you, Taz? You get, how many do we think there are? About 16. What are we looking at? 4, 8, 12, 16. It looks to be that you're going to get at least 16 papers for £4, which is amazing. Because if you think of 16 papers from any normal sort of marketplace that you can buy digital files from, they are usually around that price for 1 or 2 backing papers. So this is an amazing deal, and they've really gone to town to make sure that those papers are sort of applicable to Carnation, and that they are the right colours and tones, and they've got the right feeling that Carnation has. You've got Christmas ones in there, you've got shabby chic textures, you've got vintage papers, there's all kinds of stuff in there, whimsical, and Mark and the team and Nick and his team will be adding to these collections as time goes forward as well, so you'll get more and more information as you go. So please do keep checking the digital marketplace. I will try and keep reminding you to do that when I'm on air with you as well, and let you know if new stuff's been added, so you can see everything that you're getting. So I'm going to do a demo in a second on cutting these files and getting them over to you, and then I'm going to make a card with them as well, and hopefully we will get sort of a full array. Let's see if the technology holds up, because normally it does not. So I'm just going to put those there. The reason these are so important, by the way, and the reason I did want to talk to you about them is when you go on to, sorry Taz, I'm being a pain, can you just go on my overhead for me? Well, I don't know if you can see this really well, but when you go on to these and you look at them, you can see that they're sort of named. Obviously I would make these bigger and I would have them in list form. So if I just whiz over here, you can see I've got the name. So say like it says Cozy Christmas. That's great, but where I've got my vignettes for this Christmas USB, and it's quite a stonking collection. Look at that. That's not even all of them, but that's a lot of them. Where I've got my vignettes here, so you can look at these ones, it doesn't tell you what that's called at all. Now, you know, with the best will in the world, none of us are going to remember all of those files. So what I can do then is look at that and go, okay, what is that called on here? How do I find it? What is the title? And I can work my way through and go, oh, it's Magnus and Meyer. So then when I get onto here, I can look for Magnus and Meyer. So I know which ones I'm going to be cutting. You've got a full sort of thoroughfare going through. So I hope that helps. I'm going to move my laptop now, and I'm just, well actually, while you're still here, sorry Tam. So what I'm just going to do is go to here and just whip into my Canvas workspace, get rid of this file completely, and I'm going to import Maya. So let's have a look. Where is she? She's not in there. Right. So I'm just going to make this one bigger so that I can read what's on it. There's Magnus and Meyer, SVG, and I'm going to go for a speed cut of Meyer. So there she is. Can you see? So let's hope I've got the right one. It shows me it. I want the SVG, which is... Bottom. Have you got me, Taz? There you go. So you can see how they match to the vignettes, and I'm just going to press upload onto Brother. Press OK. Hope it doesn't spit it up and chew it out. Scan and cut transfer, and then as soon as I go to my scan and cut, all I need to do is press home, just delete anything that's on the screen, and go to retrieve data, and this time I'm choosing my computer. So normally I would tell you to go here. If you've put your information on a dongle and you've plugged that dongle into your machine, that's what you need to press. However, I've transferred mine from my computer, so I'm pressing that button, and hopefully Maya will appear in a second in all her glory. There she is. Perfect. All done. So I can close this down on here. I can go and find you on Facebook and make sure that you are all okay. Good morning, Humberta. Beverly says happy birthday, June. I love how you're all so lovely to each other. Right, I'm just going to put this there and sort my stuffs out, and then I'm going to cut this for you and we're going to make a card. So we've got Maya. What are you saying to me, Miss Towers? Niram Palmer says...
Christmas wishes fulfilled.
Christmas wishes fulfilled. Absolutely. I haven't got my glasses on. She keeps poking things in my face. They're on my head, but you know. We won't go any further than that. So what I'm going to do is take my mat. And I'm just going to get rid of my silicone mat for a second. And we're going to place these on here. Now, for all of you who are brand new to Scan and Cut, or who have still got it in a box and have never used it, get it out. Best machine you'll ever use. I've got 2 of them, and I'm just going to place this down. If your mat's not sticky enough, make sure you press it enough. If you've lost all stick on your Scan and Cut mat, and it does happen, of course it happens, just use a bit of washi tape, it'll do you, it's fine. You can re-stick them, but honestly, sometimes a bit of washi tape is just as easy as anything else. What I'm going to do is feed this into the machine. Remember, it's your chessboard. Press your chessboard button. That just feeds my mat in. Make sure you get it even. If you don't, it will chew up your mat. And that's happened to me so many times. It's unreal. Now, I'm going to press Maya here so I can see a bounding box now around her. And that's going to guide me, because that bounding box is a match for this line here. And that's what's going to allow me to match up what's on the screen with what's here. Because that red bounding box that I've got on my screen here is the same as the bounding box on my vignettes, and that's going to allow me to get everything perfectly matched. So the first thing I need to do is scan in my vignette, because I need to match it up. So I'm going to press my oven door, which is the middle one, and that is going to scan it. So I'm going to press start. It feeds it through and it takes a photograph of what's on your mat. It's an exact photograph. Once that's gone through, it comes back. That will cause me problems, Miss Towers. So you can see we've got a photograph now on our screen. So if we have a look at the Scan and Cut, you can see you've now got a photo where it was just outlined. Super clever, right? But I can't see if it's matched up properly. Not really. I can see that it looks about right, but we need to make sure. So the way we do that is to go to Edit, and then we're going to use our magnifying glass, and then we're going to use the magnifying glass down here. So instead of it being just, 100% or whichever, we're going to take it further to 400. There you go. Now, can you see my corners are not aligned? The red line is not where the black line is at the top. So that means it will cut, but it will feed into the bleed line, and I don't want it to do that. So I'm going to use these 4 arrows. Just to let you know, on the Scan and Cut, the 2 arrows that you've got at the bottom and the 2 arrows that you've got here don't move anything. What they do is move your visual point on the screen. So if I move this down, I'll just start looking further down the vignette, but it's not actually moving anything. It's these ones that are moving it. So to take it up, I'm going to press my up button, and again, we're looking better than we were. And there, and one more, and I'm about right at that point. I think the side's pretty good, so that's fine for me. I am where I should be with that. It's matched. So that little corner that says SC, which is my speed cut, that's telling me I'm where I should be. Karen says, good morning, Carla. I've purchased 6 items this morning and have been charged for all of them. Was there a code I should have put in? Thanks. Not that I know of, Karen. Well, hopefully the Carnation team will be watching you right now.
I have tried it.
Yeah.
The discount is working.
The discount is working.
Yeah.
Karen, just if you just message Carnation Crafts, you can do it on Facebook on their page, or you can email them and just say to them, this has happened, and they will help you out. And they'll sort it for you. So now I've got this exactly where I need it to be. It's where I want it. I need to cut it. So I'm just going to press OK. And I accept that that is where I want it to be. So we've got to tell it. It's probably help if I use my stylus, but I don't know where I've put it. So that takes me to here, and it says, OK, you sure? Are you sure this is what you want to do? Do you want to do anything else to it? Obviously, my answer is no, but if you did want to, you can at that point. So I'm going to press OK again. I'm happy. And then it gives me options again. Do you want to add anything else to this? Do you want to edit it in any way? No, I don't. I'm OK. But you could add shapes. You could add some text if it was something else. But I'm going to press OK. And so now it says, right, we've got to the point, we know what you want, we've taken the photograph away, we've just got the cutting lines that we're going to be cutting. So please select, do you want to cut those lines or do you want to draw them? Obviously the scan and cut will do either, so we can choose. So I'm going to press cut. And now it says, do you want me to test that or do you want us to just go for it? Now I'm going to go for it. The reason that I always say okay is because I'm using an SDX instead of a CM. If I was using a CM machine, which is the earlier scan and cut machines, I would test it first because I have to choose my own blade depth and I don't want it cutting through my mat. But because I'm using an SDX, I know that it knows it automatically. So I'm okay, I'm good to go. So I'm going to press start. Now it's telling me it's going to take, I think, 3 minutes. And off it goes. So it'll take 3 minutes to cut. It's going to test the depth of my mat there. Then it's going to test the depth of my paper there. It's going to work out how much blade it needs. And it's going to do the hard work for me. Can you see it's thinking about it? And off it goes. It starts cutting and it will take 3 minutes to do. I'm not going to make you wait 3 minutes because nobody's got the time for that. But I just wanted to show you how that worked so you can see it going through. I will leave it cutting. We'll let it do what it's doing. And I will go forward with some other stuff. Get myself seated back in my chair very ungracefully. Have I just unplugged my mic? It's day. What happens when you can't sit down daintily. I'm just plugging my mic pack back in case anybody's wondering what I'm doing. I think it pinged when I sat. I'm so graceful. So now that I'm where I need to be, we will carry on. It's been such a morning already. So let's look at all the files that we've got here and the things that we've got here. So the first thing we're going to do, I cut these earlier so you could see them. So she's so pretty, isn't she, right? Look at all these pieces. And she's so gorgeous. Now what I'm getting here is decoupage elements. These are a speed cut, and I'm doing that because I showed you the speed cut. I would advise that if you're going to use your tools that you would use detail cuts. But what I'm going to say to you is that we can still sculpt with speed cuts. If it was me and you've got the time to do the detail cuts, do the detail cuts. I know it takes so much longer and it can be frustrating, but you can get so much more kind of oomph in them. But let's have a look at doing that with the actual detail cuts. I'm just making sure that doesn't fly off there. Just bear with. There we go. So that's finished cutting. So I'm just going to press OK, release my mat, just so you can see that that cuts perfectly. And you've got all the elements for her there. Look how beautiful she is. So it's so easy, right? Scan and cuts are just a dream. They're an absolute dream to work with. Let's take all of that off and we can see I've got all of my elements. Right, let's have a look at these. So we've done speed cut. What I wanted to show you is if you have to go the quick route and you have to use a speed cut, don't be put off by it, and don't be put off by the idea of still sculpting and still doing some stuff with it. Let's just look at how you're going to do that. So you're downloading those digital files. You can get individual files. So if you start to think, well, I would really just like the stag and the doe, you know, that's all I want from this, which is Magnus and Meyer. Absolutely, now we have those options. I love that. I love that. I love the freedom in it, right? It's important. So what I'm going to do is, I haven't done it on a detail cut, I've done it on a speed cut, obviously because in the show we need it to go faster, but also because I want to show you that you still have options and how to do that and how to sculpt it out. So where the body is here, I've talked to you about this before, but where we have a piece of paper, we have to break the fibres. We have to break the fibres. Now, when you're using something that's got a large space sort of there as it is, you're going to crease. There's no way around it, and don't be put off by it. But what we're going to do is try and cause as little damage as possible. So I'm going to take this size ball tool, which is about my second or third one down in size out of my collection of ball tools. These are on the Carnation site, as is the foam mat. I think it comes as a little, you can put, get it as a collection, I think, or you buy them individually, but they're super, super useful because you've got 8 sizes of ball tool. So you can see that's my largest. I'm going in for this one and I'm going through. Now, a word to the wise, when you're printing, and you're printing your vignettes, it's better to use pro print paper if you can, because it makes such a massive difference to your printing. But also, Carnation choose the best papers, so especially when we're doing it with SVGs, it means that you can, you know, and vignettes, should I say, you can shape them really well and the paper will hold some pressure. So you can just see I'm going around the edges here first, and I'm using the larger ball tool. If I want to get to more detail, I can use the smaller ball tool at a later date. If I go in straight with a smaller ball tool, what's going to happen is I'm going to crease even more. And the reason being is because I'm taking in these smaller pieces. So it's breaking the fibres, but it's not breaking them enough. And it's breaking them in too harsh a manner. So I would never go in with this size because it will just ruin it, basically. One of the worst things you can do with something this size, it's a large surface area, is take your ball tool, especially one that's too small, and go in at the centre. Because, I don't know if you can see that, but it's causing a mark on my paper. Can you see? I'm damaging the paper now. You know, you're damaging the area that you're working on. So we never go in with something too small. The fibres aren't broken. And because the fibres aren't broken, what I'm doing is breaking the fibres in the centre, and it's ruining the paper, and that will affect the front of your vignette. You'll end up with this horrible mark on the front of it. Now, I'm not too worried about it for this one, A, because I'm demoing, and I like to demo mistakes as much as I like to demo things going right, because the two teaches both big lessons. So from that, I'm going to take it forward and just start stripping it back. So I'm working through with the larger ball tool, and I'm starting as I'm going through to get further and further into the center, and I'm starting to get creases, especially where I went with the small ball tool here. I'm okay with that. I'm just going to work through and work towards the center. Can you see how we're getting creases? Just here and here. You're not going to be able to stop that happening because we're working, like I say, with something that doesn't have any cut lines in them. Now, if I use the detail cut, this wouldn't be a problem, but I haven't. I've used the speed cut, and so I don't have that give. So I'm just working, and now I start to work further towards the center. I'm not worrying about the creases for now. I'm just going to work over that center point where I caused all the issues before, and I'm working further in towards, and I've got the creases. It looks more like a llama now. Anyway, what I'm going to do is take a smaller ball tool. I'm going to the next size down. I'm not going to be able to completely rectify those creases, but I can help them. So I'm just going to pull this forward with my fingers, and I'm just going to very gently go over the areas that are creased and just push some of those creases out of the paper. That's all. So we're just pulling it round and pulling that through, and just making sure it doesn't crease too much. Now, it's not the perfect solution, and honestly, my advice to you all the time, use your detail cuts on the pieces that are going to be your showstoppers. What I did want to show you is just don't be frightened if you suddenly think, or don't be put off if you suddenly think, well, I've got this large surface area and I can't use a ball. Of course you can use a ball tool, but make sure you start at the outside. Don't worry about the creases to begin with. You can iron them out with your ball tool, with a smaller ball tool at the end. It's just working it incrementally. It can still be done. So what I'm going to do then is just go through. I'm going to do the same process. So we're starting with this larger surface area. Just take her around the outside, and I'm using those decoupage elements. I'm going as quick as I can. But I think there's a valuable lesson to be learned here when we're working with SVGs, because obviously with a die we get the immediate impact, don't we? We get those immediate cut lines. With these, not as much. So it's about working with it and working through. So I'm just working towards my center point now, working through into my very center point now. And I've got those creases. I need to try and just tame the beast a little bit. You're almost erasing them. Think of it as using an eraser. What this also does is helps your edges become slightly more beveled looking, which is what we get when we use a die. Pull it round and just focus it through. Now just do the rest of her head on this one, and then we'll piece her together, and then I'll show you a card that we can make with that, with this Christmas USB that is obviously available on the digital marketplace. But honestly, guys, go and explore the digital marketplace. It is 342 today, all day, but that offer will end tonight, and I don't know when they'll bring that offer back. So we're bringing this round, smaller ball tool, just iron out your creases, and there she is in all her glory. Now I'm just going to get rid of that, and I'm going to bring in my silicone mat. It's like my old friend, this silicone mat. I love it very, very much. Right, I'm just going to lay her. I'm just going to pull her neck slightly forward and her feet slightly forward. Not too much. I still want that curvature. I just want her to stand a little bit more flat. Remember, you are in charge of the paper. It is not in charge of you, despite what it might want to tell you. And we're going to use some pin flat here, and I'm going to use quite a lot. So I'm feeding that on. You see that nice thick line of gel that I've got there? I'm going to use that and just place this straight over so that she sits very proud, and the front of her body starts to raise forward in a very 3D format. You can already see how this is working and how it's raising through. It's so much more effective, I think, when you shape it out and you use your ball tool on it than if you just lay it flat. Because when we lay it flat, we get those flat layers, whereas this is now raised and curved, and it's kind of beautiful already. It's artwork. It is, you know, we're creating a sculpture. So, placing through more of the pin flare, and I'm using a lot. I'm purposefully using a lot. I want it to sit proud. And I'm just going to place her head just in line. Make sure she's even. Look at her. Isn't she beautiful? So gorgeous. And look at the dimension we already got. No issues with all of that dimension building up. And that's the simplicity of using the SVG files from the digital marketplace or from any USB that Carnation do. Yes, it's a speed cut. Is it ideal to do it with a speed cut? No. Would I suggest you use a detail cut? Absolutely. Can you get around it? That's the question. If you are trying to speed craft, can you get around it? 100%. Work from the outside, work to the center, and then iron your creases out with a smaller ball tool. Remember, when you're working with paper with a ball tool, for any of you at home that have taken a ball tool to a piece of paper, you are already a paper sculptor. So it's just learning the techniques that allow that sculpting to go that little extra step further. How does that make into a card? Well, let's have a scan. I'll try not to unplug my microphone again because Ms. Taz is very cross. She's used to me by now, so I don't know why she's even concerned anymore. Right, let me just take this from here, place this over and push. Kiddoke. Right, one of the beautiful, beautiful frames that exist on the USB for the Carnation Christmas is this beautiful frame that they've got, and I want to talk you through it because look at the gorgeous, gorgeous lines in this, and look at the amazing size of it. It's quite something, right? I love the fact that we get to go bigger when we are using the USBs as to when we're using the dies. And a lot of that is just to do with the fact that the majority of people out there have an A4 cutting machine and no bigger. I know there are A3 ones on the market. I don't own one. The A4 serves my needs absolutely fine. I don't need to go any further with that. So, same as always, I've used 350 GSM smooth cardstock. Excuse me, I've scored at 1/2 inch. I've placed my red liner tape. You all know the drill. Put it towards your body. And on the scan and cut, when we use this, I don't know if you can see it very well on camera. On the scan and cut, let me see if I can show you. You have what is actually the underneath. It's the point that the blade, you know, it's where it was the underside of what cut. And then you've got the upside, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's a rougher edge. Can you see it? Yeah. That would be the equivalent of the underside of a die. So try and use the smoother edge if you can, because this isn't going to look too pretty if it is the front of your card. So you kind of want that smoother edge where the blade pushed the paper down to be the front if you can. It doesn't really matter, but it's just about trying to make it as neat as possible. Shuffle the two together, butt it up against something, and lay it flat. Make sure you've got it where it needs to be before you ever commit to that stick. And then place. And that's my tent base all sorted. Then So last night, I was playing with these last night and I was having the best of fun, because to me, USBs are magic. Digital files are magic. Of course I love dies. It's a different craft. It's a completely different craft. And so I love having the options of playing with them. So I was sat last night and I was having loads of fun just sort of dialing around and doing stuff. So I had created last night Maya and Magnus to make this card with, and then I was playing with kind of the fact that the pin flare made them kind of chunky looking, and I love that, you know, I love my chunky cards, and I thought, well, okay, let's go full on chunk with our card making. So I've got a white border here. You know my feelings on that. If you're going to do white on white, you have to have a difference. So I've got a 5mm foam tape, and that's going to give me the lift. That's going to avoid the white eating the white. So it means I will get that shadow play. So I've got the difference between my layers. Pull this round. And I love the fact that I am working to an enormous canvas here. It pleases me no end. I'm just going to have to put my head forward. I do apologise if you're seeing all of my grey roots. And I'll place that down. Push and pull. And then I cut these little beauties. Aren't they gorgeous? I'm not going to do a thing with those. They're not my showstoppers. So this is what I'm talking about when we don't get an awful lot to time to chat about this when we're doing it on CNC, because we're speeding through demos. But what I want to talk to you about is the idea of your showstopper and your backgrounds. So these are speed cuts. I don't need detail in these. They're not. I'm not asking the recipient to focus on them, and they're, you know, they're partially covered. So I'm okay with the fact that they're not detailed, that I'm not, you know, shaping them. I'm not doing. We don't need to be excessive. So that shaping out and that sculpting that we talk about on the Carnation digital files, especially when Nick does all the work for the detail cut to allow us to sculpt, is the idea that I can choose. And I save that detail for the showstopper. So that's why I do it the way I do it, just in case you're wondering. So let's get some glue. If I've got any left in here. There we go. And we are on Monday with the glue. Do you think I'll ever get the day right, Mr. House?
You did once.
Did I? Was it an accident?
And I was very happy.
Okay.
But only once.
Only once. Only once. Just the one, Mrs. Wembley. Right, what I'm going to do with these is place them behind. So the smaller ones behind. I'm not using a lot of glue here, just tiny amounts. Just to fit this down. So I'm doing it as if it's a perspective. The smaller trees will always be behind the big trees as a rule for perspective. So I'm just going to place through. And tiny amounts, nothing too heavy. Just about there, fairly equidistant. And just place. Okay, nothing too fancy. Are they pretty? The artwork that Nick and the design team produce is incredible, isn't it? It's so realistic. Tiny amounts again. Out. And I'm just going to place these slightly to the side, just so you can see those trees at the back there and along. Okay, so we get the idea of perspective. You can see that it's going back. We've got your foreground, and that's moving back to the distance as it is. A little bit more. Tiny amounts. Place this through. Pretty, right? Now the reason I use the white background is to depict snow, but I don't like my edges. I feel like I'm missing something. I want something more. I want it to be framed in. So I'm using the frame that comes with this card shape, which is beautiful. And I've just got that in that sort of cream tone. Isn't that pretty? And you see how framing makes such a difference. Framing is your best friend. I've got 5mm foam tape on this. I'm not going to take all of these off, but I will take my outside points off just to get the stick. The inside points, they can stay as they are, just to keep it raised. If you've got loads of time, you can take your outside points off, your inside points off as well. If you don't like the idea that you might catch some yellow or whatever colour backing you've got on your foam tape, but it doesn't matter too much. Yep. There we go. Right, let's place this down. And I'm going to try and go corner to corner to get it even. We'll see how it goes. I hate this sticking point. This is like traumatic for me because I always get it wrong. But roughly speaking, we're about right. You see how that makes a difference? So raising it up, I've got my shadow. I've got all the shadow play that I need. And as the light changes, that will change too. So let's go in with those showstoppers. We know that we've done Magnus and Maya. I did them last night because I wanted the pin flare to dry. Look how beautiful they are. You see how that pin flare, that working with all of those details, it all brings it together. You can see this is a detail cut. So the chest has got all of the sort of fur coming through. It's got all of that line detail on it. They're so beautiful. What I'm also going to do is stick them with pin flare as well. So they get even more of a lift. They are my showstoppers. So I'm just going to tuck his little legs behind and place him about there. And then I'm going to do the same with her. Pin flare running through. And I'm going to place them together, chest to chest. Aren't they stunning? Look at that. Absolutely glorious. Now, there's enough on there for me to turn around and say, in good Carnation fashion, that is a beautiful card. But I have a problem with it. And my problem with it is the white background and their little legs and the tree stumps. I don't like it. It looks unfinished to me. It doesn't look right. There's something missing and I need to give a grounding device. Even though I've got the frame as a grounding device, it looks messy to me and I like a finishing point. So what I did was this. Look at the dimension in that. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Now look at that colour and how that works. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. And I know that it's got to stick on the frame, so I know that it needs to be at the bottom and not everywhere. So I'm just going to put pin flare at the bottom, which is where it's going to marry up there. Before I do that, I'm just going to grab these layers and just pull these forward because I want that dimension. And we can still manipulate. The pin flare is solid, absolutely solidly dry now, but I can still play because I don't put pin flare everywhere. The less glue you use, the more manipulation you are going to be allowed to have. And I'm going to place this on with all of that gorgeous dimension coming through. Just place that. Isn't that stunning? But I still feel like something's missing. It's just not quite finished for me. But this time I'm not doing any shaping at all. At all. I don't want this as my showstopper. What I want it as is a visual aesthetic corrector. So I'm correcting the fact that I've got nothing of colour up here and I've got this massive blast of colour down here. I'm just correcting the visual. So I don't want any shaping. I don't want it to detract from those gorgeous, gorgeous stag and doe. I just want the colour. So I'm just going to take this through there, just at the top, and bring that colour through on that frame. And then I'm going to leave it well alone because that's just enough to marry it and to finish it. That's all we need. Sometimes it's a very small thing and it will just give it your beautiful visual end point, and that's all you need. So I'm just going to put it up so that you can see it in all its glory. Isn't that beautiful? I love Carnation. I mean, you know this, I've always loved them, but what I love most about Carnation is the fact that as a company, they are progressive. Sorry, mister, look at the dimension on that. Isn't that so pretty? That is from a digital cutting file. And I think that's incredible. I will always love USBs. I will always love USBs. And I will always love digital cutting files because the scope for me is much greater than I can ever get with dies. That's not to detract from dies. I love them as well. I love them as a different craft. Carnation are always going to be progressive. They're always going to bring you new things. They are always coming up with stuff that they can do that is different, because as crafters, we want that. We want that unique blend, that unique flavour that we can do with what we need to do. And that's what today is about. So the launch of the digital market is all about how we can craft differently and how Carnation can make that easier for us to do. So the digital marketplace is on the Carnation Crafts website, which is www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. It's on the top bar, digital market, and you can choose from commercial artwork and you can choose from Carnation Originals. It's up to you which one you go to. Obviously, you can pick from both. The deal of the day today is that it is 3 for 2, and that means you can buy obviously 3 products and only pay for 2. There's only 12 hours left on that deal today. Have a look through and see what you think. The great thing about this is, and just to reiterate, those commercial artwork products that you see, they are not designed by Carnation Craft. Carnation Craft are not taking any credit for them at all. The whole point about them being is that Carnation have bought a license for all of this, which enables them to sell them to you at an extremely cheap price. So you are getting massive value on something, and they have got the pictures there, the images that blend with Carnation. They've done it purposefully. They've chosen them. They've handpicked them for you so that they blend with the stuff that you've already got from Carnation. They have also then given you the Carnation Originals section of the digital market, and that is the USBs that have previously been released. At the moment, there are 2 of them, Carnation Blooms and Carnation Christmas, but they're not asking you to buy the full USBs. They're also giving you the option of buying individual items for your cutting machines. So you get the options of choosing little bits that might be here and there. You might not want the full collection. You might just think, oh, do you know what I could really do with a snowman? I wonder if there is one sitting on there that I can just pick from. And yes, indeed you can. Or you can buy a mouse who's dressed as Santa, which is always ace. The point being is, and I will stand by the fact that I do not believe for a second that digital artwork is a compromise. And I know a lot of people say it is, and I respect other people's opinions massively. For me, it's not. For me, it's just a different craft. And I don't think that anyone can argue the toss that that is something incredibly beautiful, created from images that are taken from the digital marketplace, used on my scan and cut, and then dealt with in the same way that I would deal with dies, except for the fact that, as we've just seen, even with no cut lines, we can create something incredible even on a speed cut. So don't be put off. It is the most amazing thing, and I am so proud of Carnation for going that extra step and for producing the digital market, because it's going to take me so much further on my crafting journey, and I hope it will for you as well. So I'm going to leave you all to go and have a brew and to do what you need to do with your Saturday morning. I will be back with you at 3 p.m. this afternoon. We'll have another look at the digital marketplace. We'll do another demo and have a look at some other stuff. Actually, I'm hoping we're going to get 2 demos done in the next one, because one of them is a quick card and I've got them sitting next to me ready to go. So hopefully we can get both of those finished for you and you can have a proper look through. But while you're waiting, please do go to the digital market on the Carnation Crafts website, which is www.carnationcrafts.co.uk, and go and have a little ferret through it and see what you can find. And I will see you at 3 o'clock. Take care, guys. Bye.